Smart talk.
Bold laughs.
Real life, three wise women.
Let's go.
Yeah.
New podcast title, Who Dis? Welcome back, everybody. We have a new name. We have a new vibe. We are the same gals. We are now three wise women.
Woo!
Happy
Season
Monday.
10, right?
Yeah, happy Monday.
We've
Season
evolved,
10.
we've grown, we've learned from our poor decisions, and now we're wise.
Yeah.
Wise.
Wise.
This is what happens when you get into your 30s. You know better, so you do better.
Yeah, we are deep into the
Sometimes.
30s, so we're doing a little rebrand. So we'll still have some comedy, still have some seriousness. But yeah, we thought it was time for a little rebrand. So we'll get into that soon. But welcome back to our day ones and hello to our new listeners and now viewers because we're on YouTube.
Yes. And this beautiful background that Marcy made. Look at this. Aren't we
Yes.
so professional?
Our
I do
graphic
not take-
design, our graphic design.
I don't take credit for that. That was AI. Everything moving forward has been done by AI. Let's be
Our
real.
AI whiz is what
Yeah.
she is. So we are so grateful that she was able to do that for us. So, anywho, we're gonna kick things off with a new segment, and then we'll get into some updates and what's to come on our rebrand season. So,
Yay.
I'm gonna kick it over to Lindsay.
I love these new segments, and AI by Marcy also came up with some of our new segments. So this is what's the name of it, Asha? What?
We're a little rusty. This is reality check.
Reality check. I was gonna say what's the reality, but that's another podcast. The reality check.
Calling out
This is
some
reality.
nonsense. What's the nonsense that you're calling out this week?
So my reality check this week, it didn't happen this week, but it's been in the news. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this girl named Madison Pruitt, she was on The Bachelor years ago. She kind of won, and then they broke up, and it was a whole thing. But she has a podcast with her husband Grant Trout, and they recently had a daughter. I think she's 7 or 8 months old now, and they were talking about discipline and spanking, and the clip went viral for their thoughts on it. So we're gonna play the clip, and then we'll get you guys' thoughts.
Like, if I was in Obesus, we're not like, come here, girl, come here. All right, pull him down. Get the, mama, get her. Which will be hilarious when we start spanking. I was like, which we will, on the record, because the Bible so clearly says
about that.
It says folly is bound up in a child, but discipline drives it far away.
Well, and it also specifically talks about discipline with the rod.
It says it will not kill them.
But some people could say, well, you can discipline them with timeouts. Hold on. It says with the rod.
Shoot a little bit. It's not going to be, yeah.
And it's not, and it's going to be in a very loving way of saying, hi, sweetheart, do you know why you're being disciplined? Mommy does not want to discipline you. Mommy does not enjoy having to spank you, but there are consequences to disobedience.
100%.
And that's what you're saying is there are consequences.
So yeah, that was the part of the clip that got the most airtime. And there were a lot of different opinions that came out about this. And as someone who is not spanked, I can only speak as someone who was not spanked as a child. So I know we've all had different experiences with it, but I am so thankful because I feel like I would not have, and maybe I'm wrong, and you guys can tell me what your thoughts are, but I don't know if I would have the same relationship with my father if he was spanking me, specifically because of just he has a very deep voice and his demeanor. I feel like I would become very fearful of him rather than how he did handle punishment. So I personally don't spank Liam and don't plan to spank Liam. but what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, I pulled up the verse because I grew up Christian, so I always knew that there was a verse. I think it's usually like, I guess abbreviated as spare the rod, spoil the child, which basically is saying if you don't, I guess, if we're being literal, physically discipline your children, you're spoiling them. They don't, I guess, learn the lessons that they're supposed to learn. So the verse is from Proverbs 22. And just as the guy said, I can't even remember his name that fast.
Grant.
Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it far away. And I guess now that I'm older, and like I said, I grew up in the church, I grew up Christian, I feel like in Southern culture, like I'm pretty sure my parents were spanked. I do remember being spanked as a kid. I think it stopped. I mean, we were young, I think, like not young as like babies, but I remember it was probably like elementary ages, but I think it was like my parents got spanked, so they felt like they had to spank.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm older and I've read the Bible, I know a lot of people take it literal, like take what's literal in the Bible as what they should do. And if that's the case, I mean, there are cases in the Old Testament where this verse comes from, where if you think of an adulterous thought, you're supposed to gouge your eyes out. If there's things where you do stuff, you're supposed to like be stoned. You know what I mean? So it's funny how people cherry pick what they want to take as literal, and then other verses that deal with corporal punishment or doing something physical, they kind of turn an eye, a blind, or turn the cheek to. So that kind of bothers me. I don't know if in this day and age, in modern culture, in modern times, things that were done or said in biblical times can be translated into today.
I think going along with the theme of the podcast, right? The poor decisions, we've now evolved to the three wise women. It kind of plays a role in this. It's like if you take things so literal from the Bible and you actually implement it into your daily life, there would be a lot of wrongdoings. And I think that with the evidence that we have today, and maybe like you were mentioning how your parents were spanked and maybe our grandparents were spanked, it has to go back to the parent as well. Like, are you doing it out of your own anger and frustration? Because if you're acting out and projecting that onto the child, that's an issue that you have to go back to yourself and ask yourself why your child is triggering you and you're having that reaction. And the second part of it is like, have they had this conversation before having a child of how you're going to discipline your children? Because if you actually look at the evidence in the research and the long-term effects of hitting and spanking and using that as a form of discipline, there's not great evidence showing that it's helpful. It's more or less harmful towards mental health risks, towards the parent and child relationship. Then you have this aggression built up, then you have this tension. So to me, I feel like spanking undermines trust and more so fear, and increases the fear of the parent-child relationship versus like building this cooperative relationship with your parents where you can trust them and love them and you want to do what's right by them. So I am anti-spanking, and this is such an interesting topic because I actually had this conversation with the last guy that I was dating, and we had to agree to disagree. We were on a long walk and it came up upon like how we wanted to raise children. And he mentioned how one of his ex-girlfriends had a 2-year-old and she was not spanked, and she was, in his eyes, spoiled and out of control. And she was the 2-year-old was the one that controlled the mom. And so in his eyes, because she wasn't spanked, she was just spoiled rotten and controlling the mom. And so, and he's like, if I ever have a child, they're definitely getting spanked as a form of discipline. And because he was spanked and he felt like,
And he was from the South, right?
yeah,
Or
he was born
yeah,
and raised in Wilmington and
yeah.
very Christian,
Christian, I was gonna say, yeah, that's
very
definitely
Christian, but he didn't grow up
cultural.
Christian. He was like became Christian later in life.
Yeah, but just
Um,
like certain like I feel like Christianity, you don't have to be from the South to only spank, but I feel like culturally just like Southern culture is almost rooted in some Christian values, even if you aren't,
Right.
specifically Christian. I don't know where these people are from, but I
yeah, I don't know
think
where his
I thought
parents
they
are
were from like,
from.
regionally, I feel like
he's,
it has a lot to do with it too.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's from the South. I thought she was from, I could be completely wrong. I forget where she's from. I don't even want
I
to,
guess
I'm not even going to
regardless,
throw out a state, but
It
her
was probably
background is Christian. Like
right.
her
right. Oh, for
background's
sure.
Christian. And then as far as what Marcy and I were talking about, like I grew up in the South. I grew up in the church. Same like with my family generations and generations. So I think it's definitely like a regional thing and also people pull that from the Bible that have, some sort of Christian values or whatever.
And I think it's not even like everyone's entitled to like parent the way they want to parent, even if I disagree with it. I think my biggest issue is the way he said it. Like to say it's going to be funny or to sound excited or I I don't know, that just freaked me out a little bit in the sense of using certain words when you're talking about spanking. Um, and to know, I feel like now that I'm a parent, like I don't know, like to have those conversations, I think is important if you feel really passionate about it. But to be like, we're going to spank her. Why don't you wait and see how she is as a little person and like what she respond? I don't know. I feel to like be very like set and like this is the only
Yeah,
way it's gonna work.
absolute,
And
right.
like I just feel like that
I feel
I
like that should
don't
be the last resort versus like
Yeah. I'm like,
for sure.
I want to go into parenting knowing that I'm going to spank my child.
and
That's
then
Right.
not the way that you want to step into
And
parenting.
then it's like what level of um I guess offense I say offense for a child because children are just tiny people trying to learn. Like, where do you draw the line on what needs a spanking? Is it a
Right.
spanking because you called them 3 times and they didn't answer? Is it a spanking because they ran outside after a ball because they're a child and don't know? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
what are you doing what is the child doing that like warrants a
Warrants. Yep.
spanking?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
And
part
that's
too for you to be so like absolute like yeah, we're gonna spank, but I'm like, okay.
To what degree?
to what
Right.
degree? And on I know I always reference it, but I listen to it every week. On Jana Kramer's podcast, they talked about it, and one of her friends on there, which I never really thought of it this way, but they were talking about it, and one of her friends was like, we can call it like all we want to call it, but spanking is hitting. Like if you we can call it a different word to make people feel better about it, but you're hitting your child is what you're doing. But I think we
It's so
sugarcoat it
true.
to make it more palatable because obviously if you say you're hitting your child that people are going to have a lot of questions. But to me that's kind of how I feel about it in the sense of like I really right now am teaching Liam not to hit. And why would, if he's hitting me, why would then I turn around and,
You're
spank or hit
reinforcing the
him?
behavior. You're like saying like, okay, you hit me, now I'm going to hit you back. It's like
Right,
then it's the same cycle. Yeah.
right. Or even
And
like, oh, you can't do it, but mommy
yeah,
can.
and
Like
kids'
that to
brains,
me,
they don't have the executive functioning to know to be able to like in their
Not at that
brains
age.
rationalize this is a
hmm
hitting because of discipline. And when I'm with my friends, it's considered like abuse or not, you know what I'm saying? Kids don't have
for
that
sure.
like that insight into it. Um, I guess, like I said, like in my experience and just what I know about growing up in the South, like I know that that type of corporal punishment has like generational ties into like slavery and stuff like that too. You hit to like keep somebody in line, to keep them,
Mm-hmm.
submissive and to keep them as like you are the dominant. And like we said, like I think research is showing that children are not your property. And so trying to have more of a collaborative relationship, trying to build trust is better than having the like the parent is always right, is in charge of the child. I mean, that's kind of where
Yeah.
that stems from too.
And what Marcy was saying is like most of the time, if people are truly honest, if most of the time you're hitting out of retaliation and anger, you're not hitting as like, okay, let me calm down and really think this through. Like I'm sorry. I generally believe there is some anger. There was a nerve struck from the child, and now you want to create, power dominance, whatever. And I really just truly believe that it is coming from anger, even if people say, oh no, like I swear it's not out of anger. Well,
In the heat of the
but
moment, it definitely is.
yeah, like I feel like it is, oh, I don't know.
Or
Maybe.
even on the flip side, because I'm trying to think about like in the past, I feel like after a while, my parents would like threaten that we were gonna get a spanking when we got home, and then sometimes they forgot. But it's like one of those things too, like even if something happened, let's say arbitrarily, something happened in public, and you're like, all right, when we get home, you're getting a
Hmm.
spanking. Okay, so you've gotten through the store, you've gotten in the car, you've gotten home. At that point, isn't that your cool down period? Like, do you still need to like
Right. And the
traumatize the
kid,
child? Like, the child is already
yeah,
scared the whole way home.
Right.
right.
So it's like one of those things too, where it's like, no matter if it's like an automatic reaction where you want to hit or versus like when we get home, this, and this is going to happen. I mean, the child's going to be scared the whole way home. Isn't that like torment enough?
Right.
For
And we
sure.
have,
And what, sorry, go ahead, Marcy.
no, we just, in this day and age, we have so many behavioral tools to self-regulate and to also for parents to teach their kids about regulation and healthy outlets for doing that. And I just think that by X wordly showing that form of aggression or form of energy, how is that child going to internalize that? You know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, those who want to can, I guess, go listen to the whole podcast. I am not going to, but
They
Yeah,
lost
that
me there.
was
I will not be listening to their
yeah, that
podcast.
that was
just
yeah,
different. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. I like my biggest issue one is the term to use, and then like Asha said, the cherry picking of like this applies to this, but like other things don't apply. It's only like what when it's convenient for you. Like that's my biggest issues.
yeah.
But
So I hope if
yeah.
they're watching something raunchy on TV and they have a thought that they're gouging their eyes out. If we're gonna go by what the Bible says literally, I mean there's a bunch of stuff that happened in the Old Testament that is pretty wild. So I would be
Wow.
interested to see what they're gonna apply there to themselves.
It's always interesting, and
Interesting.
that's why we do these reality checks, just to, get a pulse and a check on the feelings around some of this stuff that we see. But
Yeah, for sure.
more new segments to come, and I will remember the names of them. But moving on, transitioning to our fabulous new rebrand. So, who wants to take
So what
on
so what makes you
the
wiser?
Well, that's a loaded question. No, I actually went back to our messages to figure out like how this kind of started. I
Tell
couldn't
us
get
because I
Yeah,
couldn't remember.
please.
I'm
I
like,
couldn't either.
why?
And
So
that's
I was
and
like,
it wasn't
wait,
even that long ago.
why
So
did
that's
we
the
it wasn't.
change?
So it was so I couldn't find who initiated the let's rebrand. I believe it was I think I was like really needing to focus on something else because that was one of the text messages I sent of like I need to focus on something else. Like I'll come up with some names of things. Um and so I think the thought in my head with coming up with names literally was like there's three of us. So I think I used Chat GBT or maybe I just Googled it. I don't know. But I was looking up titles of like there's three or women, like what similarities do we have and pulling from there. And I thought it was kind of So I sent a list of things. I think I sent three, and you both were like three wise women, like exclamation points. And this was back in or beginning of July, I believe. Um, and
It was
so I
not
think
that long ago at all.
or maybe it was June. I can't
This
remember.
is
No, it was a long
No,
August.
ago.
but
It is mid-August, so it was
No,
before we got
yes, it was
together in
beginning of July. You're
Wilmington.
right, right. Yeah.
okay.
Um, yes.
Where does time
And
go?
so I think the part that I thought was interesting was obviously we're three women, but the pun on like three wise men. Speaking of, the Bible, we've had conversations about like all of our different experiences with religion, all of our different thoughts, and just the kind of modernizing that. And I think that's what we do a lot with some of our takes is like taking stuff that we may have learned and like or taking stuff that has happened from when we were younger or past and then learning from it and modernizing it, changing it to a way that we see fits within our lives. So to me, that was kind of the meaning behind the name.
It tracks, it aligns with us. I just think it was kind of fun to make poor decisions and just laugh about it. Now we actually have to analyze and process and grow, which is fine, but
Well, and I think
that's
too,
what that's what friends in your 30s are for. It's like your friend circle gets smaller and your
yeah,
growth mindset gets more evolved. There's a lot of lessons that we learned in our 20s now going into our 30s, and it's like your 30s are such a era of realization and evolution.
yeah, I agree. I feel like I love the poor decisions, but I think
It was fun.
most of us aren't drinking on a regular basis anymore anyway, so we'd
No,
be pouring
I've like
a lot.
finally on my Aura ring have reached the resilience level of exceptional. So there's different levels that you can reach based off of
Hmm.
your immune system, your heart rate, your sleep, your stress levels, your body temperature, and some other metrics. And I've had my Aura ring now for a year and 3 months. And the more you wear it, the more the data collects and you're able to kind of track and see your patterns and it's more accurate. And so whenever I start to get sick, my resilience goes down. And I haven't been sick in a very, very, very long time versus when my stress levels were high when I was going through school and trying to finish my master's and working full time and had a new job, then I was just more susceptible to getting sick. But now with all the traveling that I do, I try to track just things that I can control, like taking an emergency or extra vitamin C, drinking extra water, lysoling the hotel room, stuff like that. So now that I haven't gotten as sick, I've noticed that my resilience level is excellent. But the one night I haven't drank alcohol in a very long time, probably since I was with you guys and we went out and I had like a couple drinks.
Yeah.
So Friday night, there was a concert here in Wilmington and I had 3 drinks the whole night, and they were like seltzers, so it's not like I was going hardcore with shots or anything. They were just like had a margarita and like 2 seltzers. And the next day, like my resilience went from excellent, like the exceptional, and it dropped down to strong. I'm like, one night of drinking does that to your body. Imagine the people who do it every single night, what they're doing to their liver, to their bodies, to their hearts, to their sleep schedules. I'm like, alcohol is just not resonating with my body anymore. It's like,
It's poison.
I don't know how I
Well,
did it or how we did it in our 20s. Like we would hardcore drink
every
and go
weekend,
out. Yeah.
every weekend.
Yeah, multiple nights, starting like Friday night
Yeah.
till like early Sunday morning. And even I would say even Sunday afternoon, if you did brunch, you would still
Yeah.
drink.
That's true. We
So
would continue through brunch. We would have mimosas
Friday
Yep.
or Bloody
night,
Marys.
yeah, Friday night till Sunday afternoon.
It was such a social thing for us.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my perspective on three wise women is like, yes, like we've learned from poor decisions, but I feel like I feel like it's almost ironic because we'll still like be learning.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
it's
It's
like
for a lifetime.
we're getting wiser
Yeah.
every day.
I think that's the thing about wisdom is that the more you go through life in different life stages or milestones that you hit or certain obstacles or life events that come your way, it's like how are you going to show up? A lot of times those things are out of our fucking control. Like we can't always control what's going to happen to us, but what we can control is how we respond to us or how we're going to level up to it or how we're going to show up for the whatever the fuck shows up for us, you know? So I think a lot of times we want to play victim, but we can't. We don't have the choice. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, I agree. And if we sometimes you just need a fresh start. You need to shed the old skin, let the new skin or whatever a snake happens to
We're snakes.
whatever, whatever that saying is. Shit, I don't know
Shed your
whatever.
old skin, grow some thicker skin.
There it is. Thank you. That's exactly
I don't know if that's
That's
the word
yes.
we were
amazing.
looking for, but
And I think at some point, because the girls also reminded me that we just recorded a season like back in March, and I think I literally blocked out season 9 because I really didn't realize it had been that soon that we had recorded, um, or recently. But so I think at some point we'll trickle in updates, more personal updates as the season goes, but I don't think, I think there are times and places for certain things, and I think we're all going through transitions in life that just,
is
need
that what you're
need time to
calling it?
breathe.
Transitions?
I was gonna
We
say
need
that's definitely what it's giving.
Wow, that's putting it very
Transitions.
lightly.
that need time to breathe and that need time to, not have Lindsay go off on a tangent or a rant because, but um it- yeah, that's if you
Life
know,
is
you know.
lifing.
Yeah, so but I obviously we've kind of kept you guys who have been listeners in the loop for a while on some of what happens in our personal life. So we'll come back around to some of that stuff at a later date. But man, let me tell you, we are three resilient ass women.
More
If
you two. I think you two are
no,
like my superheroes.
What are you
oh,
talking
don't make me
about?
cry.
I mean,
We
I
couldn't,
mean, we all have our path. We all have
yeah,
obstacles thrown in our way. And
yeah.
yeah, I
that's what
think
you want to call it. Wow. Like, I don't think those are the accuracy yet, but time will tell.
Yeah, but we couldn't do it without each other, and I think that's what I've learned most, just over in my 30s is like I couldn't get through my 30s with so far without my girls, and it's only been 3 years. So I am just so thankful for you guys, and this podcast too, like, is something I always look forward to, and I feel like it brings us together and grounds us and keeps our friendship strong and evolving, and it makes us learn more about each other, and I just really, really enjoy it, and I'm glad that we're able to continue to do it through all the craziness.
I know we're coming up on, I think our first episode launched December of 2021. So we are, hasn't been that
Really?
long.
4 years,
Wait, what?
10
4 years?
seasons.
I know.
Oh,
So
I thought it was
yeah.
2020. I thought we did during COVID, but I guess it's been four
Mm.
years.
Yeah, I had to go
Dang,
back and look
okay.
because I thought it was COVID too, but I was like, no, we actually didn't start till
We were still wearing masks. That's why it felt like COVID.
I think we recorded it at the end of 2020, but we launched. I think we launched like
Oh,
2021. I can't remember exactly.
okay.
Or the opposite. I can't remember. But anyway, it was
Gotcha.
2021. But yeah, so
Well,
10 seasons and almost 4 years is pretty impressive.
cheers to almost 4 years then. Yeah. And like Asha said, we have new segments. We're gonna have maybe a guest or two this season to spread some more wisdom about certain things. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear from us, any topics, any things that you have questions about, just shoot us a message.
Or if you want to come
Um,
on the podcast, come be our
yeah.
special guest. It's always fun when we can have our friends join in.
Yeah, I love it. I love when
Yes,
we get a
there's a
different
seat at our
perspective.
table.
There is a seat at the table.
Oh yeah, how many microphones? There's 4. Yeah.
I think that's the coolest part about this podcast is that it not only brings us together because we're all in different stages of life now, and we're also in different parts of the United States, but it also helps bring our other circles, friend circles that we have from, college or other jobs or I don't know, other walks of life. So it brings all of our
Yes.
friend groups together and keeps everyone united.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
that you guys are friends with some of my dear friends.
Mayor Bear.
Yeah. Mary, Maddie,
Love you.
Amanda.
Amanda. Love you guys. Listeners since day 1.
Yep, that's great.
So we will continue to hopefully talk about some really hard conversations, but interesting conversations. And I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else, you guys. So stay tuned for another full season and more
Yeah.
episodes to come.
Yeah, we'll still laugh too. It's not going to be preachy.
Yeah, let's not preach, please.
Yeah, we need to laugh. We need to laugh.
Smart talks, bold laughs, real life.
Boom. That's the tagline.
Boom. Love you guys.
All right.
Have a great
catch
week.
Yeah, we'll catch you next week. Check us out on
Bye.
YouTube. Bye.
Bye.